We Are Still Here is a poltergeist horror movie. The movie starts with this wife and husband. They're kind of old and they move into this house because they're moving away from the city because their son just got in a car accident and died, and they just need a new change of scenery to kind of just restart and not be constantly reminded of their son that passed away. Well, a couple days into this house, and the wife just starts noticing weird things are happening, like she finds her son's baseball glove, and then his baseball falls down these steps, and one of the pictures he didn't like growing up gets broke, and she is just under the assumption that maybe the spirit of their son followed them to this new house, and she's not creeped out by it at all. It just brings her joy in a sense. Well, kind of curious about if it is her son, she calls some people she knew, friends, that it's a husband and wife that are like kind of connected to the spirit realm. They do like seances and they really just believe in all that spiritual stuff. Well, before they get there, one of their neighbors comes over and tells them the dark secrets of this house, like how this house used to be a mortuary, and basically the people who were like getting the corpses, they actually wasn't putting them in the coffins, they were like selling them to people, and basically these people got ran out of town. Well, the psychic couple end up coming there and they do sense something, but they don't sense that it is the son's spirit, they sense it's something evil. And it would turn out that this town has this dark secret to do with this house, and just the end of this movie is intense, and I don't want to go into too many spoilers because that is the magic of this movie. So, my review of We Are Still Here. When the movie started, it definitely was slow, and it just felt like it may be a low budget film. I don't know, it just was giving vibes. It was just like, it was underwhelming, and then like you get to a certain part, it's kind of like a mystery, as like when the guy comes over and he's like explains that there's actually a dark like history with this house. You're like, okay, maybe it's not the son, because the whole time you're like, is this movie about them just, being haunted by their dead son? And then you start seeing like these apparitions that are like burning people, and then you're curious about that, and then it gets to like when they go to that bar, and then it just really turns up. You realize that the townsfolk are evil, and that this movie is kind of good. It's a lot better than what you think, and then it gets to the end, and then the whole movie just, it's insanely high budget, it's insanely good, and the practical effects at the end were just honestly mind-blowing, astonishing. And this is like one of those perfect examples of movies that actually did the slow start right with the big payoff in the end, as just a couple movies I've watched lately that tried that failed miserably, but not this movie. They super succeeded, as just the end of this movie is just a bloody gore fest of just intense practical effects, and is just insane. When the husband to the psychic lady does the seance, the whole movie just turns fucking crazy. It's insane. And like I said, it's just because the acting wasn't all that good, the production wasn't nothing crazy, there wasn't really no practical effects. It just was like a slow starting movie, and honestly, that it's like a misdirect. You don't know that the end's going to be so good because the beginning's like kind of mid, and then it's like, wow, okay, so this was an extremely good horror movie, like holy shit. So yeah, just the beginning and middle just feel like kind of a low budget horror film. Not like the production, even though I said it wasn't like that high. Everything looked nice and the camera angles were good and the coloring was straight, but you know, it wasn't over the top. And it was kind of just like the cheesy acting from the old couple with the cheesy dialogue. It just didn't feel like it was going to be this crazy movie that it eventually does get to at the very end, which just becomes this insane, I said it already, blood fest, gore fest, horror movie with just these crazy kills. So my recommendation for We Are Still Here, and honestly, I was like thinking about it, and I would probably just put this in the highly recommended, just because it is one of the best misdirected horror movies I've seen, from just what seemed like not the highest budget horror movie to easily having some of the best practical effects I've ever seen, and just that ending was great. It really kabooms on you, and yeah, I would definitely highly recommend this.